most of the advice you get in the financial world today regarding Social Security is to delay collecting benefits as long as possible. And while there can be good reasons to do so, there are many instances when that's not the best choice. So in today's video, I'm going to outline 5 reasons to consider collecting Social Security early. It's very likely that you've seen some version of a chart like this, comparing how much you'll receive in benefits based on when you start collecting and how long you live. And while it can be a great starting tool, it doesn't take into account the bigger picture. Things like if you have a spouse, your overall financial situation, and health. So let's dive into 5 examples of when it can make sense to collect Social Security early. Reason number 1, you need the funds. Not everyone is in a position to delay collecting benefits. Filing at age 62 is still the most common age in the US. It's better to collect the benefits at a reduced amount if the alternative is taking on a lot of debt or greatly reducing your liquid available funds. The second reason to consider filing early is health related. If you have shortened life expectancy, either because of a health issue that you're dealing with or something in your family health history, that's an argument to start collecting benefits early. Every year you wait, they say on average you get about 8% more in benefits, but it takes time to make up for not collecting. Let's say, for example, you were to delay collecting benefits for 3 years. So by the time you start collecting, you get an extra 24% per year, but that's thousands of dollars you didn't collect during those 3 years. That takes time, and the shorter your life expectancy, the less beneficial that becomes. So the third reason has to do with how you value using the money. You might decide that you're going to get more enjoyment out of using that money, let's say in your 60s, to retire sooner, maybe cut back hours, or perhaps it gives you the money to be able to travel to Europe if you otherwise wouldn't have been able to. Perhaps you value the experiences and what it offers you in your 60s versus covering additional health expenses, let's say in your late 80s. Okay, the fourth reason to consider taking Social Security early relates to your portfolio, and really I think is broken into 2 key concepts. So let's go over the first one. Let's say that you have poor timing when you retire, and you retire into a bad or down market. There's this mathematical concept called sequence of returns, and essentially what it outlines is that when you retire, there's first few years, whether the market is really strong or unfortunately really poorly, that has this domino effect that cascades more than the impact of good or bad markets later on. So essentially, if you retire into a bad market, that has a bigger effect than if you experience those same losses 10, 15 years down the road. So if you do find that you have bad timing and the market is down significantly, you might consider filing for Social Security so that you're taking less out of your portfolio, right? So for example, let's say you're collecting $2,500 a month. That's now $2,500 a month you're not having to withdraw from your nest egg, hopefully allowing it to last longer and have more left as the market eventually finds its footing. Now, the other avenue or the other angle of this is if you're a little bit more of a risk-tolerant investor, a little bit more growth-minded, you might say, hey, if I can collect $2,500 a month, for example, again, that's $2,500 a month I'm not taking out of my portfolio. If the market continues to do well, I might actually be getting better growth that way and be better suited in the long run by keeping more invested. Now, of course, there are no guarantees with that, right? Just because your portfolio has done well doesn't mean it will continue, but you might feel comfortable with that trade-off and prefer keeping more money invested for longer. That would be a reason to consider filing for Social Security earlier. All right, so the 5th reason I want to talk about that it might make sense to file for Social Security early is related to family benefits. So for example, if you have a child that's 18 or younger, or between the age of 18 and 19 and a full-time student, by filing for your benefit, you can unlock additional benefits for your minor child. Again, they only remain eligible up to a certain time. So although it doesn't guarantee it, that might make it attractive to file early. And then the other item relates to spousal benefits. When you go to file benefits, you get the higher of either your own benefit based on your work history or up to 50% of your spouse's benefit. So for many spouses, the spousal benefit is actually higher than what they've earned themselves. They are not eligible to receive that until the primary wage earner has started collecting benefits. That sometimes causes confusion because that wasn't always the case, but that became the case several years ago. Now, I want to talk about one additional item as essentially a bonus. What sometimes will hold people back from collecting early is uncertainty around their job situation. So let's say you've left work at 62, maybe there was a reduction in force, maybe your role was taken away, maybe you decided to take some time off, and you're maybe not fully ruling out going back to work. One thing you can consider is you can actually start to collect benefits. And as long as it's within 12 months, you can essentially do what they call withdraw your application. So let's say you start filing benefits, 6 months later, you find the right job opportunity and you decide that you want to go back to work. If it makes sense, you could actually withdraw your application from Social Security and you stop receiving benefits. And then when you retire for good, you can always restart. Now you essentially have to pay those benefits back, but you're not physically writing a check. They just withhold your benefits for a few months. So let's say you were going to file in January. Let's say that it was going to take 4 months to catch up for what you owed them. You wouldn't receive any payments for 4 months, and then you would receive it at the new higher amount. But again, having that flexibility in certain situations, if people are considering other reasons to do it, might be enough to nudge them to go ahead and collect it. If their circumstances change, there's a little bit of flexibility. But again, these are a few reasons where it can make sense to file early, but Social Security is something that is very personal. There is a lot at stake. There are different factors that you should consider: your overall financial health, if there's other people relying on your benefit or that might be eligible to receive, things like your health, what you're looking forward to do in retirement, and your overall life expectancy. As always, hope you found this helpful. If you did, consider clicking on the subscribe button. If you find yourself having questions that you'd like answered in a one-on-one format, please reach out, www.morrisonwealthadvisors.com. Thanks.